She was his professor, calm, brilliant, untouchable. He was the billionaire's son used to getting what he wanted. But that day, when the classroom fell silent, she whispered, "Go gentle with me, this is my first time." And for the first time in his life, he froze. Before we continue, I want to know something. Where in the world are you watching from right now? Go ahead. Type it in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and like this video because Nub Stories is just getting started. Every episode, a new love. Every story, a new heartbeat. Professor Elara Quinn, elegance in motion. The kind of woman who doesn't need to announce her power. She wears it like a second skin. Her hair moves with her words. Her eyes glide from one student to another, sharp and knowing. Every sentence lands like poetry, sculpted in glass clear, beautiful and untouchable. The lecture hall is silent. 200 students, yet the room breathes with one rhythm, hers. And there's him, Adrian Cole, the billionaire's son. The kind of man who walks into a room as if it already belongs to him. His confidence isn't loud. It's the kind that hums under his skin. Everyone knows his name. But today he barely knows himself. Because for the first time, he's distracted. By her, he watches as she leans on the podium, her hand tracing the edge of a page, her voice sinking deeper into the air, smooth, deliberate, and dangerous, in the way only intelligence can be. Her tone doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. And Adrian, who's been bored by beauty all his life, feels something stir that money can't buy. She notices him. Of course she does. It's hard not to. He's sitting at the very back like he's hiding, yet his eyes don't know how to behave. They follow her every step. She pretends not to see him, pretends not to feel the weight of his gaze traveling up her words like a secret. For a moment, their eyes meet. And everything, the lights, the whispers, the shuffle of pens dissolves. Two people who shouldn't notice each other. I can't look away. Her breath catches barely, just enough to betray her calm. His lips curve the faintest smirk. Not arrogance, curiosity. She looks away first. He smiles wider. And just like that, the game begins. Later that afternoon, as the lecture ends, Elara gathers her notes, slow, deliberate movements as if she's reminding herself to breathe. She feels his presence still, though she refuses to look. Students start leaving in groups, chatter, laughter, footsteps, but one pair doesn't move. Him. Adrian lingers, watching her pack up. He could have left like everyone else, but he doesn't. He stands there silent, leaning against a desk like time itself has decided to pause for him. She feels it before she sees it, that subtle awareness like the air changing temperature. When she finally glances up, he's still there, watching her. His stare isn't intrusive, it's steady, questioning, almost respectful, but laced with something unspoken. Her tone sharpens, professional armor snapping into place. "Hey, can I help you, Mr. Cole?" He steps closer, not enough to break rules, just enough to challenge them. His reply comes smooth, low, with that dangerous hint of humor only men born into power carry. "You already have, Professor." The words hang there simple but heavy. They're not flirting, they're declarations. She blinks and is thrown off for the first time in years. A flush rises behind her calm. The next morning, Elara Quinn walks through the marble corridors of the university, heels whispering against the floor. She tells herself she's fine, that yesterday was just another lecture, another student, another moment easily forgotten. But every step she takes carries a memory she can't name. She reaches the lecture hall early. The room is still asleep. Desks in perfect rows, sunlight spilling through the blinds like liquid gold. She inhales, steadying herself. This is her world order, reason, control. Nothing unpredictable, nothing emotional. Then the door opens. Adrian. He steps in quietly, as if he belongs even in silence. No entourage, no noise. Just that calm confidence that walks before him like a shadow. He doesn't sit in the back today. He chooses the front row. Elara lifts her gaze from her notes, pretending the movement is casual. It isn't. Their eyes meet for a second, brief but heavy enough to shift gravity. Class begins. Her voice fills the room again, steady, warm, measured. She's teaching logic today, how every argument must begin with reason and end with proof. Adrian listens, but he isn't listening to her words, he's watching her pauses. The way her hand moves when she emphasizes a thought. The slight curl of her lips when she challenges the class. He raises a hand. "Professor?" he says, tone smooth. "What happens when logic meets something that doesn't follow rules?" She blinks. "Such as?" He leans back, fingers tapping against his notebook. Feelings or people. A ripple moves through the room, laughter whispers, but his eyes stay on hers. It's not the question that steals her breath. It's the way he asks it, deliberate, soft, as if he's already inside the answer. Elara smiles, keeping her tone professional. Then you observe, Mr. Cole, and you adapt. Even chaos can be understood with patience. He nods slowly. And if the chaos doesn't want to be understood, something flickers in her eyes, a warning. Or an invitation. Then, she says quietly, you walk away before it consumes you. He smiles that same half-smirk from yesterday and murmurs, not everyone wants to walk away. Her hand stills over her book. For one impossible second, the room seems to shrink until it's just the two of them, a storm disguised as a conversation. The bell rings. Students gather their things. The spell breaks almost. Elara keeps her gaze on her papers as they leave, pretending to focus. But she can feel his presence again, that unspoken awareness. When she finally looks up, he's still there, waiting. Did I cross a line, Professor? He asks, voice low. She should say yes. Instead, she says, you asked a question, that's what students do. And lecturers? Lectures, she replies, know when not to answer. He steps closer just enough that the scent of his cologne lingers clean. Restrained, expensive. She laughs, trying to brush it off. You should focus more on your coursework than your compliments. He tilts his head slightly to look again. The one that makes time hesitate. Maybe I'm studying the wrong subject. The way he says it is slow, quiet, respectful but daring, makes her pulse shift. For the first time, she doesn't have a counterpoint. He leaves first, turning at the door. One last glance over his shoulder. No grin this time, just a silent acknowledgement. Something that says, I see you, even when you try not to be seen. She stands there alone in the empty lecture hall, papers still in her hands, pretending she's not affected. But her fingers tremble slightly as she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. She exhales a slow, uneven breath that carries a secret she'll never admit aloud. Something shifted today, something small but dangerous. And maybe, just maybe, neither of them will ever be the same again. Maybe the right question finds its own answer. She exhales, controlled, steady, though her pulse betrays her. Class is over, Mr. Cole. For now, he says softly and walks out. Hours later, her office is quiet. The rain outside turns the city into a watercolor of lights and motion. She tries to read, but every word blurs into his voice. Every thought bends toward the question he left behind. She stands by the window, watching the reflection of herself in the glass, calm, collected, perfectly in control. Except for her eyes, they give her away. A soft knock at the door. She turns, no one's there. Only a single envelope slipped under the frame. No name. No seal. Inside, a note. If logic has limit, what's beyond them? Her breath catches. She looks up, half expecting to see him in the hallway. Nothing, just the echo of her own heartbeat. She folds the note carefully, tucking it between the pages of her lecture book, the one she'll use tomorrow. Her whisper fills the empty room. He's just a student. But the words sound like a lie she's still learning to tell. And outside, somewhere beneath the rain, Adrian Cole smiles because he knows that the first spark has already found its fire. Night settles over the university like a secret. The echo of footsteps has long disappeared, but one room still glows, faint light spilling beneath the door. Inside, Professor Elara Quinn sits surrounded by papers and half-finished thoughts. Her mind should be on grading, but the words refuse to line up. Every sentence reminds her of a voice that asked the wrong question the right way. She glances at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Too late to still be here, and yet she doesn't leave. A sound, the faint click of another door down the hall. She stills. Adrian Cole. He shouldn't be here either. But rules have never interested him as much as reasons. He's walking the corridor with his hands in his pockets, eyes on the soft lights bleeding through the glass. He tells himself he's just retrieving a notebook, but even he doesn't believe it. When he reaches her door, he hesitates, then knocks once, lightly. Elara. Without looking up. It's open. He steps inside, the air changes. Her tone sharpens. You're here late, Mr. Cole. So are you, Professor. Silence. Somewhere outside, thunder hums like a warning. He sets his notebook on her desk, but doesn't step back. The distance between them is polite but fragile. You left a question unanswered, he says. About what's beyond logic. She closes the file before her. And you think the answer is hiding here after hours? No, he replies. But maybe it shows up when the world's quiet enough to listen. For a heartbeat, neither speaks. The lights flicker. Then darkness. A sudden power cut swallows the room. Outside, rain beats harder against the windows. The city hum fades until there's only their breathing and the pulse of emergency lamps washing the space in soft red glow. Elara exhales, steady. Stay where you are, it'll come back soon. You sound certain. I teach certainty. And live it? His voice is near now, too. She can sense rather than see him. The faint scent of rain, paper, and cologne folding into the dark. You shouldn't be here, she whispers. Neither should you, he answers, tone low, almost gentle. But maybe some lessons happen after hours. They talk to fill the quiet. First, philosophy. He asks why people chase perfection if they know it's unreachable. She says maybe chasing it is the only proof that they're alive. He tells her about pressure, how every decision in his world carries weight measured in headlines and family expectations. She confesses she hides behind rules because they're the only thing that doesn't abandon her. Their words trade places with pauses, and soon the pauses speak louder. Each time lightning flashes through the window. For an instant they see each other's outlines, shadows, the hint of a gaze that doesn't look away fast enough. Another silence. The kind that doesn't need to end. He steps closer and the sound of his shoes against the floor feels louder than thunder. She doesn't move. You're not afraid of the dark, he asks. Only what it hides, she says. Maybe it hides the truth, he murmurs. Or temptation. The faint red light paints her features in warmth and uncertainty. Her voice is calm, but her fingers tighten around the edge of the desk. Mr. Cole, she says finally, this conversation is dangerous. He smiles in the dark. That's why it feels real. The generator hums back to life. Light spills over them, too bright, too honest. They freeze where they stand just a breath apart. For a moment, neither moves, unwilling to shatter what the dark had built. Her eyes find him and the world shrinks again. Then she turns away, gathering her papers as if that motion could erase what just happened. Good night, Mr. Cole. He hesitates at the door, voice quiet but certain. You can call me Adrian after hours. She doesn't look up. But when the door closes, a small smile hides behind her hand, the kind born of fear and fascination combined. Outside, the storm eases. Inside, a different one begins, quieter but far more dangerous. By dawn, the story had already grown wings. It started as a whisper in the cafeteria, a passing comment about the professor who stayed late. By noon, it was a rumor. By evening, it was a shadow that followed them both. Elara Quinn walks through the faculty corridor, chin lifted, posture perfect, every inch the image of control. But her reflection in the glass doors betrays her. Too still, too aware. Eyes follow her. Some are curious, some judging. She's used to being admired, not questioned. On her desk lies a folded note. The dean wants to see you. She doesn't need to open it to know what it means. Dean measured, polite, dangerous. Professor Quinn, the dean begins, tone dipped in diplomacy. You've been an invaluable part of this institution, but discretion matters. She blinks once, calm, controlled. I assume this is about my research? No, he says, eyes steady. It's about your student. Silence thickens. I expect professionalism from both parties. Keep your distance, Elara. People talk. She nods once, gathers her composure, and walks out, every step echoing louder than the last. Across campus, Adrian hears his own version of the warning. Colder, sharper. One of the board members said to Adrian, You're Cole. Act like it. Focus on your studies, not your distractions. He laughs under his breath, masking the sting. You mean my professor? We mean trouble, the man replies, walking away. Adrian stands alone, jaw tight, eyes set on the tall glass building that hides her office. That evening, the campus feels smaller. Every hallway turns into a maze of almost encounters. Every reflection shows a glimpse of what they're pretending not to feel. Elara avoids his gaze in class. He doesn't push, at least not out loud. But each word he speaks in discussion feels tailored for her. Every debate, every counterpoint, carries an undercurrent challenge disguised as intellect. The students laugh, the room hums. But between them, there's a storm no one else can see. After class, she gathers her books too quickly. He lingers, pretending to scroll through his phone. When she walks past him, he looks up. Their eyes meet for a fraction of a second. It's enough. Her coffee cup trembles slightly during a faculty meeting. His pen hovers mid-sentence in the library. Passing each other in the courtyard, too far to touch, too close to ignore. The rumor grows with every stolen glance. By Friday, the air between them feels electric. Every step she takes is measured, but inside she's unraveling. She leaves the lecture early, taking the side corridor that cuts through the old science wing, quiet, deserted. Footsteps echo behind her. She doesn't turn, she doesn't need to. You shouldn't be here, she says softly. Neither should you, Adrian replies, voice lower, steadier than the first time. She faces him. The hallway light flickers once, catching the faint reflection of his eyes, calm, confident but burning with something unspoken. Elara quietly. Do you enjoy making things harder? Only when it's worth the risk, he says. She exhales, tension threading through every word. People are talking. Let them. You don't understand what this could cost. I do. He steps closer. And I'm still here. The space between them collapses into silence, the kind that doesn't need permission. Her heart beats faster than her reason. For the first time, she doesn't move away. The hallway hums with fluorescent light and danger. Her breath catches as his hand brushes against the edge of her sleeve, not a touch, just a tremor of proximity. In that instant, she realizes something terrifying. It's not his persistence that scares her. It's her own willingness to meet it halfway. The sound of voices approaches two students laughing down the corridor. She steps back, mask returning in an instant. Go, she whispers. Will you tell me to stop next time? Don't make me answer that. He gives a faint, knowing smile and disappears into the turning light of the hallway. She stands there motionless until the laughter fades, then whispers to herself, voice trembling with truth. Next time, I might not. Golden dusk settles over the city skyline. The rhythmic hum of cars, laughter, and distant jazz blend into an elegant night. It begins with a message. Just one line, polite, deliberate, and far too personal for its simplicity. There's a gala this weekend. I could use a mentor's presence. No name, no signature. But she knows who it's from. Elara stares at the text for too long, her fingers hovering above the screen. The air in her apartment feels thick, like even the walls are waiting for her answer. She types 3 words. I can't, Adrian. And hits send. Then she turns off her phone. But her pulse doesn't turn off with it. Saturday night arrives anyway. The university's annual benefactors gala is a shimmering sea of tuxedos and champagne laughter. Adrian Cole stands near the balcony, posture casual, eyes restless. He's surrounded by the kind of people who wear wealth like perfume, visible, expensive, suffocating. He's smiling when needed, nodding when spoken to. But every few seconds his gaze flicks to the entrance. He's waiting. Soft jazz fades under dialogue. Friend, teasing. Expecting someone, Cole? No, Adrian says, just hoping for good company. His friend chuckles and walks away. Seconds pass. Then movement at the door. She walks in. Professor Elara Quinn, wrapped in deep midnight blue satin, elegant, understated, breathtaking. Her hair swept into a low knot, loose strands catching the soft light. Every head seems to turn, though she isn't trying to be seen. But Adrian sees her like he's been holding his breath since the message. Their eyes meet across the room. No words. No smiles. Just recognize a quiet collision between what's forbidden and what feels inevitable. She walks past a cluster of faculty members exchanging pleasantries. The perfect model of composure. Yet her pulse skips when she feels his presence near, not touching, but close enough that her skin remembers. You said you wouldn't come, he murmurs behind her. She doesn't turn immediately. And yet here I am, strictly professional, of course. Of course, he echoes, but his tone carries a different truth. The gala floor is filled with dancers. Laughter swirls like champagne bubbles. He extends a hand, slow, deliberate. One dance for appearances. You think people won't talk? They already do, he says with a faint, knowing smile. Her hesitation lasts only a heartbeat. Then she places her hand in his. They move together with practiced grace, though neither had practiced this. The rhythm of the music disappears, replaced by the rhythm of breath and heartbeat. Every turn brings them closer. Every glance a confession. Every silence a secret. She laughs once quiet, startled by her own ease. You're dangerous when you're polite, and you're breathtaking when you're not pretending not to feel, he replies. The words hang in the air between them, not loud but heavy. The kind that can't be taken back. Around them the world blurs, faces, chandeliers, voices fading into background color. For a fleeting moment, it feels like they're the only two people alive. Her fingers tighten slightly around his hand. His other hand steadies her waist, respectful, restrained, but electric. It's not what he does. It's the care in how he doesn't cross the line. She feels the discipline behind his warmth, the restraint that speaks louder than touch. When the music ends, the applause snaps them back to reality. She steps back quickly, smiling, returning like a mask she needs to survive the night. That was unnecessary, she whispers. Maybe, he says, but tell me you regret it. She doesn't answer. She just looks at him long enough that silence becomes the only honest reply. Later, she stands alone on the terrace, cool air brushing against her bare shoulders. Below, the city glitters indifferent, endless. Adrian finds her there, glass of sparkling water in hand. No words at first, just the sound of wind and distant laughter. You shouldn't have come, she says finally. Then why did you? Her lips part to argue, to defend, but nothing comes out. Because they both know. Because you asked, she admits quietly. He smiles then. Not triumphant, not arrogant, just sincere. Then I'm glad I did. The silence after that isn't awkward. It's full of meaning, restraint, and everything neither dares to name. As she leaves, her heels click softly on the marble steps. He watches her go, not chasing, not calling. But in that quiet distance between them, something undeniable has begun. A connection neither can justify, yet neither can let go. Night rain against the tall glass windows of Elara's office. The world outside blurs into silver streaks. Inside, the light is low, the atmosphere quiet, heavy with words unspoken. There are nights when silence feels louder than thunder. Nights when the heart decides it's tired of pretending. For Elara Quinn, this is one of those nights. She sits at her desk, grading papers she isn't really reading. Her eyes skim over words, but her mind drifts elsewhere, back to the dance, the way his gaze lingered, not with hunger, but something gentler. She told herself it meant nothing, that it was just tension, fleeting, forbidden, but the ache in her chest says otherwise. A soft knock interrupts the storm of her thoughts. She doesn't need to look up to know who it is, Elara said quietly. It's late. Adrian, you're still here. She exhales, closing the folder in front of her. You shouldn't be. And yet, he says, stepping into the doorway, neither should you. The flickering desk lamp catches his face, and no arrogance, no smirk. Just something honest. For the first time, he doesn't look like the billionaire's son who gets what he wants. He looks like someone who doesn't quite know what to do with what he feels. He walks closer, stopping just far enough to respect the invisible line between them. Adrian said, I needed to say something. Elara replied, You've already said too much. Not the right things, he answers softly. Her heartbeat skips, she looks away. Lightning flashes outside, painting the room in momentary silver. When the light fades, their faces remain half-shadowed, as though both are caught between who they are and who they're becoming. Adrian say, You're afraid of this. Elara replies, I'm afraid of what it means. It doesn't have to mean disaster. Everything does eventually, she whispers. Especially when it feels this close to right. He studies her not with desire, but with something far rarer, understanding. There's a crack in her calm tonight, a quiet trembling behind the steady voice, the kind that only appears when strength starts to soften. Adrian, you think I want to break you? Elara replies, I think you don't realize how easily you could. The room stills. Outside, the rain turns to a soft drizzle, tapping against the window like a heartbeat. She stands slowly, every motion deliberate, like she's testing the air between them. Her voice lowers. You see confidence, composure, and logic. But none of that means I know how to let anyone close. He says nothing. He just truly listens for the first time since this began. Her eyes lift to meet his. And in that gaze, something cracks open. Go gentle with me, she whispers. This is my first time. She isn't talking about touch. She's talking about trust. The kind that requires you to hand someone your armor and hope they don't use it against you. For a moment, Adrian forgets how to breathe, because he realizes this isn't a game. This woman, who commands a lecture hall with unshakable grace, is standing before him, stripped of every defense she's ever had. Adrian quietly. Elara. Don't, she says softly. Don't try to fix it, just understand it. I do. No, you think you do. She pauses. You've lived your life being the storm. I've spent mine surviving it. Her voice trembles not from fear but from honesty long withheld. So if you really want to be near me, you'll have to learn to move like rain, not thunder. Something in him shifts. That proud confidence, the charm that usually shields him, falls away like dust. He steps back, not forward. Because for the first time he understands what she needs isn't pursuit, it's peaceful. The silence that follows isn't empty. It's sacred. Then I'll wait, he says, for as long as it takes. Her eyes widened, startled by the weight of his words. And that's when she feels the real danger. not in his closeness but in his patience. Because real care is quiet. It doesn't demand, it simply remains. For the first time she feels seen, not admired, not desired, but understood. He walks toward the door, stopping before leaving. His voice is calm, almost reverent. "You asked me to be gentle," he says. "So I will." "Thank you," she whispers. He nods, half smiling. "But understand something, Elara," he adds, glancing back at her. Gentle doesn't mean gone. The door closes quietly behind him. She stands there, motionless, feeling the echo of his presence linger in the air like warmth after flame. For the first time in years, she doesn't feel alone. She feels seen. She looks out at the night sky where the storm has cleared, leaving only faint stars behind the clouds. "Gentle," she whispers again, to no one in particular. Maybe that's how it begins. Morning light cuts through clouds over the university. The campus buzzes with an unfamiliar noise, not laughter, not conversation, but scandal. It starts with a notification, then another, and another. By 8 a.m., the internet has turned quiet curiosity into chaos. A few photos were nothing more than captured glances, shared moments, a dance too close under golden light spread across screens like wildfire. No words, no proof, just a suggestion. But in a world hungry for stories, suggestion is enough. Professor Elara Quinn steps into her office, greeted not by silence but whispers that follow her like ghosts. The air feels heavier than usual. Her colleagues' smiles have vanished, replaced by something colder than pity mixed with judgment. On her desk, a printed headline, "Professor and Student, Questions Rise at Westmont University." Her fingers tremble slightly as she picks it up. The article says nothing concrete, just speculation, carefully worded poison. Still, the damage is done. In the dean's office, the conversation feels rehearsed, because it's not the first time the institution has buried a scandal to protect itself. Dean said, "Elara, we're placing you on temporary suspension, effective immediately, until the investigation is complete." Elara replies, "An investigation into what, a rumor?" "Into perception," the dean replies flatly. "And perception is reality in our line of work." Her voice cracks slightly, not with anger, but disbelief. "I've given this university 10 years of my life. And no one's questioning your dedication," the dean sighs. "But the board has made their decision." Silence. Then quietly, "You should go home, Professor Quinn." Meanwhile, across the city in a glass tower that scrapes the clouds, Adrian Cole is facing a different battlefield. The Cole family name is plastered across business magazines, charity boards, and political donations. To them, reputation isn't just identity, it's currency. His father stands at the window, back turned. "Powerful, unyielding," Mr. Cole said. "You've embarrassed this family." Adrian replies, "I haven't done anything wrong. You associated us with scandal, that's enough." "You mean I felt something real?" Adrian fires back. "You mean you lost control?" his father snaps. "And now, unless you fix it, you're cut off. No trust fund, no inheritance, nothing." The room falls silent except for the hum of city noise below. Adrian stands there, jaw tight, eyes burning with quiet defiance. "Then I guess I'll start from zero." "You wouldn't last a week," his father says coldly.
"Watch me."
He turns and walks out, heart pounding, pulse steady, pride intact. Outside, the storm of public opinion swirls. Online forums dissect their every move. Students argue. Faculty whisper. Truth becomes irrelevant because perception has already chosen a villain. And somehow, both of them are losing. Elara's apartment has dim light, rain outside, her phone buzzing endlessly on the table. She hasn't answered a single call, not even his. The world feels too loud and yet too silent. She scrolls once a photo of them at the gala. Her hand in his eyes on her. Captured like a confession, she whispers under her breath more to herself than anyone else. How did something so quiet turn into this noise? There's a knock at the door, soft, uncertain. She hesitates before opening it, and there he is. Adrian, without the polished suit, without the practiced grin. Just a man who looks like he's walked through fire and chose not to hide the ashes. Elara said, "You shouldn't be here." Adrian replied, "You say that every time. This time I mean it. And this time I don't care." He steps closer, not to touch, but to stand within reach. The storm outside echoes the one inside them both. Elara said, "They've suspended me." Adrian replies, "My father disowned me. Then we've both lost. Or maybe we've both finally chosen." Her lips tremble, eyes glassy but fierce. "You think this is some kind of victory?" "No," he says quietly. "I think it's love that costs something." And that's the only kind worth having. She stares at him not as a student, not as a mistake, but as the only person who sees her without pretense. For a moment she wants to break, to fall into him, to forget the noise outside. But she doesn't, because real love isn't always running toward someone. Sometimes it's standing still together, while the world burns around you. Elara said, "Adrian, what if this ruins everything?" Adrian replies, "Then we rebuild, just not the way they expect." "You'd give up everything for me?"
"No," he says, "I'd give it up for us."
He reaches for her hand, not to hold it, but to steady it. And in that simple gesture, something shifts again. They're not teachers and students anymore, not scandal and secret. Just two souls standing in the wreckage, refusing to surrender to shame. As dawn breaks, the headlines rage louder. The university board meets in secrecy. And across the city, two lives once defined by control have chosen chaos for something they can't quite name. Elara looks out the window, watching the rain fade into gold morning light. For the first time in weeks, she smiles, because sometimes destruction is just the first step to rebuilding truth. "I wish I could explain this in person, but I'd never leave if I saw your face again. I'm not running from you. I'm running from what they'll do to you because of me. You still have a future. Don't ruin it trying to chase what's already broken. But if you still want to understand why, meet me tomorrow, 7 p.m. at the old pier. Just once more." He reads it 3 times before the meaning sinks in. The pier is the place she used to take her coffee on Sunday mornings. The place he first confessed, "I think I'm in trouble with you." He presses the letter to his chest, closes his eyes, and for the first time in weeks, he cries. Not because she left, but because she still cares enough to say goodbye properly. Next evening, wind sweeping over the harbor, sky melting into indigo. Elara stands there, coat pulled tight, hair wild against the cold. Her reflection wavers on the black water, one part hope, one part regret. She hears footsteps before she sees him. He doesn't run to her. He just stops a few feet away. Adrian said, "You actually came." Elara replies, "You always were good at following instructions." A faint smile flickers. Then it disappears. The wind carries everything they don't say. Apologies, memories. The kind of love that still hums even after breaking. Adrian said, "You could have told me face to face." Elara replies, "If I had, I wouldn't have been able to walk away." "Then don't." "I have to." "You choose to." "Yes," she whispers. "And choosing hurts more than being forced." A pause. She looks at his eyes glistening in the dim light. Elara said, "Adrian, I can't be your scandal anymore." Adrian replies, "You're not my scandal." "Then what am I?" "You're the reason I believe people can change." The words land like a heartbeat, quiet but alive. She looks away, jaw tight, trying not to break. "You'll move on, you're still young." "Stop saying that like it's a cure," he snaps. "I don't want young, I want you." Her breath catches, tears finally slipping free. "And I want you too." "Then why?" "Because sometimes love doesn't mean staying. Sometimes it means leaving before you destroy the person you love most." She reaches for his face, fingertips trembling as they touch his cheek. Elara said, "Promise me something." Adrian replies, "Anything. Don't come looking for me. And if I do, then I'll know you didn't listen, and I'll love you even more for it." A long pause, the sea whispers, their foreheads almost touch. Elara said softly, "Goodbye, Adrian." Adrian replies, "Don't say it like that." "Like what?" "Like you mean it." She closes her eyes. "I do." And just like that she turns and walks away. No music, no slow motion. Just the sound of her heels fading into the wind. He stands there long after she's gone, watching the last trace of her vanish into the night. The letter flutters from his hand into the water. He watches it drift, the ink bleeding like a final confession. He doesn't call her name. He doesn't chase. Because for the first time, he understands that sometimes love isn't about holding tighter. It's about letting the other person believe they're saving you, even when it's breaking you in half. The city skyline glimmers at dawn. Years have brushed the edges of everything, buildings taller, lights colder, hearts quieter. Time doesn't erase people. It just teaches you how to carry them more quietly. A private jet landing. A man steps out, Adrian Cole, older now, sharper. The boyish arrogance once stitched into his smile has melted into quiet confidence. He's dressed in understated power. No need to prove anything anymore. His eyes, though those eyes still search rooms like they're looking for something they once lost. He's returning to the university as a guest benefactor. His foundation funds education across continents. Irony bites softly. The same halls that once condemned him now carry his name on a scholarship wall. He walks those corridors slowly. Each step is an echo from another lifetime. Every sound is the whisper of memory. And then he hears it. A voice. Firm, clear, the one that once unraveled him. If you challenge an idea, be ready to defend your own. He stops. The world seems to pause exactly the way it did all those years ago. Inside the lecture hall, Elara Quinn stands at the podium, graceful as ever. Time has softened her, but in the way light softens gold, richer, not duller. Her hair carries silver threads now, her eyes more measured, her presence still magnetic. The students hang on her words, unaware that every syllable to one man feels like a heartbeat returning. He stays at the back where he used to sit. Fingers loosely clasped, gaze steady. He promised himself he wouldn't interrupt. But some moments don't wait for permission. When the class ends, the students file out, buzzing with ideas. She gathers her notes, looks up and freezes. For a breath, she doesn't recognize him. Then her hand stops mid-motion. The years collapse in a blink. Elara, quietly. Adrian? He smiles, not with triumph, not with nostalgia, but with something gentler. Adrian said, Professor, I took your advice. She blinks, a laugh caught somewhere between disbelief and tears. Elara replies, My advice? You said once use your mind to build, not to chase. And did you? I built it. He pauses, gaze soft but unwavering. But I never stopped chasing, understanding. Her breath catches. That word understanding carries everything he can't say out loud. University courtyard. They walk together. The autumn leaves whisper overhead. Some conversations don't need to start from the beginning. They pick up where the silence left off. Elara said, I saw your name on the foundation. The world thinks you've become untouchable. Adrian replies, The world likes stories with tidy endings. And what's yours? Still being written. A smile flickers. The air between them feels alive again, not fiery this time, but warm, mature, human. They stop by a bench, the same one near the old library, half hidden behind ivy. Elara said, You kept the same look in your eyes. Adrian replies, You kept the same effect on me. She shakes her head, amused, yet her voice trembles. After everything, you still flirt through metaphors. Only with you. Silence, then a laugh, small, genuine, the first in years. The years between them don't vanish, they blend. Like ink soaked into paper, impossible to separate, yet beautiful because of how it spreads. They talk for hours. About books, travel, change. About how life, despite everything, keeps finding ways to test people's hearts. Every time she looks away, he studies her not as a man still in love, but as someone finally at peace with what love turned him into. Adrian said, You once told me to find something worth protecting. Elara replies, And did you? Yes, but it wasn't a thing, it was a lesson. Which was, that love doesn't have to win to be right. She exhales, eyes glistening. You grew up. You taught me how. They sit in silence. Outside, students laugh, distant and carefree. Inside, two people share a quiet miracle, survival. It's strange how time can turn chaos into clarity, how once forbidden glances can evolve into mutual respect, and something deeper than either ever expected. She looks at him, voice barely above a whisper. Elara said, Do you ever wonder what we might have been, if things had been different? He smiles faintly. Adrian replied, Every day, but maybe the story ended exactly where it needed to. And where's that? Here. A long beat. She nods, eyes lowering, not in regret but acceptance. Evening falls. They walk to the steps outside the hall. The campus glows beneath streetlights. Adrian said, Will I see you again? Elara replies, You already do. He tilts his head, confused, and she continues. Every library you build, every classroom you fund, you see me there, that's enough. A breeze lifts her hair. She steps back into the light. For a second, she looks exactly as she did that first day, confident, radiant, untouchable. Time rewrote them, but it couldn't erase the chapter they shared. He watches her walk away, not with loss this time, but gratitude. Because not every love is meant to be held forever. Some are meant to shape you so that when fate circles back, you can finally stand in front of it. Whole, Adrian alone beneath the same university archway. He closes his eyes, breathes, and smiles. Adrian said softly, Go gentle, Professor. A black car cuts along cobbled streets toward an ancient university, built of amber stone. Years pass, faces change, empires rise. But some names remain carved into the heart like initials on glass permanent, even when you try to polish them away. The black car glides to a stop at the foot of the university steps, sleek, silent, the kind of machine that mirrors the man inside it. Composed, expensive, and unreadable. Adrian Cole steps out. Gone is the restless heir who once hid his emotions behind wit and rebellion. Now he moves with calm precision, the kind of confidence that comes from loss, from learning the hard way that power means nothing if you have no one to share it with. The wind carries the faint scent of old stone and rain, the same air he once breathed as a boy sitting in the back of a lecture hall, watching a woman who made the world sound bigger than money. His eyes trace the ivy curling up the gray university walls that once trapped his thoughts, now calling him back like a memory he never fully left behind. The driver opens the trunk, murmuring something about luggage and meetings. Adrian waves it off. He doesn't hear him. His mind is somewhere else, walking corridors from another lifetime. A banner ripples above the courtyard archway. Guest lecture Professor Elara Quinn, The Ethics of Power. He almost laughs. Ethics, of course. She's still teaching him even when he's not her student. Always was, always will be. He looks up at the banner again, the sun glinting off the letters like quiet irony. Once upon a time, he was the one testing her, challenging her beliefs with the arrogance of youth. Now he stands on the other side of the line, the man who learned how dangerous power can be when it's untamed. His reflection catches in a glass window, sharp suit, steady gaze, the kind of man people listen to. But behind that composure is something only she would recognize, the flicker of that same boy who once waited for her after class, searching for meaning in her silence. He told himself this trip was business, a courtesy visit, a meeting to discuss partnerships between his foundation and the university. That's what the press release says. That's what his assistant believes. But the truth sits heavy in his chest, unspoken but undeniable. He came for her. He walks through the courtyard slowly, almost reverently. Students pass, voices overlapping in a rhythm that feels alive, familiar, human. The sound of youth, of the life he left behind chasing ambition. A gust of wind lifts a paper flyer from the bulletin board. It flutters, landing by his shoe. He bends to pick it up. A photograph, her face. Professor Elara Quinn, still elegant, still distant, but now there's something softer in her eyes. Wisdom, maybe. Or weariness. Adrian folds the paper gently, sliding it into his pocket. For a moment, the billionaire disappears. What's left is a man walking toward his unfinished chapter, and the woman who still haunts every sentence of it. Inside the hall, students fill the rows, notebooks open, eyes bright. Elara Quinn steps to the front. The years have woven quiet strength into her features, graceful lines. A calm smile, the kind of presence that steadies a room before she even speaks. Elara said, "Power reveals more about character than privilege ever will." Her voice still the same tone that once made his world tilt. He stands at the back, unnoticed, listening. Every phrase she utters hits like a heartbeat he once memorized. When she looks toward the audience, her gaze skims across him, pauses, frowns slightly as if her mind's reaching for a familiar ghost, then moves on. He smiles to himself. Still the professor. The lecture hall hums with the echo of applause. Students gather their books, whispering about the guest speaker and the ideas he sparked. Laughter trails down the aisles, doors open and close, a rhythm of endings. Elara Quinn stands alone at the front, collecting her notes. Her movements are deliberate, careful as if precision could disguise the pulse beneath her calm exterior. The hall, once full of voices, empties into silence. Only the sound of paper and her soft, steady breath. She bends to pick up a fallen notebook. The lights dim slightly as the projector hum fades. When she straightens, something shifts the air, the atmosphere, her heartbeat. She feels it before she sees him. That quiet awareness, that familiar gravity. She turns and freezes. Elara, barely a whisper. "Adrian?" He stands at the back of the room, hands in his pockets. Expression composed, but eyes alive with something old and unguarded. Adrian, softly, smiling. "Hello, Professor." The words hit her like an echo from another lifetime, familiar, dangerous, tender. Her lips part, but no sound comes. For a heartbeat, the years collapse between them. She blinks, the shock melting into disbelief, and then into something warmer, quiet laughter that trembles at the edges. Elara said, You look different." Adrian, half smiling. "So do you. Though you still make logic sound like poetry." She exhales, trying to steady herself, her fingers tightening slightly around her notes. "What are you doing here?" said Elara the professor. Adrian replies, looking for my teacher. Her breath catches the kind of pause that carries a decade of meaning. Elara asks again softly, and did you find her? He takes a step closer. The soft echo of his shoes fills the quiet. His gaze holds hers, not the gaze of a student anymore, but of a man who's lived, lost, and learned. Adrian replies gently, no, I found the woman who taught me what strength really looks like. Silence expands, the kind that says everything words can't. She swallows, her throat tight, eyes bright with unshed emotion. The air folds around them. Two lives, once torn apart by rules and circumstance, now standing again in the same light, only this time equals. The tension isn't loud, it's quiet, steady, the kind that lingers in eye contact and unspoken thoughts. Adrian walks toward her, stopping just a few feet away. Neither looks away. The years between them are visible in the way they stand and the way they breathe. A stray paper flutters off the desk and lands between them. She looks down. He bends at the same time. Their hands almost touch, almost before she straightens, caught between professionalism and the ache of memory. Elara, barely audible. You shouldn't be here. Adrian softly. I've been away long enough. The camera lingers on their faces, her composure cracking at the edges. His restraint glowing like a quiet promise. The world outside continues, footsteps. Doors, distant chatter, but in that room, time stands still. They step out into the gardens where the afternoon sunlight bleeds gold across the path. Leaves tremble with a slow breeze, carrying the sound of distant laughter, the rustle of young dreams. Students stroll past, phones in hand, eyes curious, whispering to one another about the mysterious man walking beside their professor. But Adrian and Elara don't hear them. For them, the world has softened into something smaller, just footsteps, memories, and the quiet rhythm of breathing in the same air again. They walk side by side, not touching, but close enough for the air between them to hum. Elara, after a pause, she said, I heard about your foundation, the schools, the scholarships. You kept your promise. Adrian replies, you gave me the blueprint. She glances at him, smiling, that same gentle curve he remembers from lectures when she'd challenge him with kindness instead of pride. Elara, half smile. You always listened more than you admitted. Adrian replies, and you always saw more than you said. Their laughter comes easy this time, the sound of walls lowering. They pass the ivy-covered archway leading toward the old library, the same place where his journey once began. The silence that follows isn't heavy. It's layered, full of everything they aren't saying. Elara softly, and your father? He slows a little, looking down at his hands before answering. Adrian quietly, gone. The single word carries weight, not just loss, but closure. Adrian continuing. We reconciled before he died. He told me he was wrong, that love doesn't ruin legacy, it defines it. She stops walking. The sunlight catches her hair as she turns to face him. Elara. He said that? Adrian, half smiling. Not in those words, but close enough. She lets out a soft laugh, one that trembles between surprise and relief. Some laughter doesn't echo, it settles. Like dust on furniture, long untouched proof that something once lived here. They keep walking, their steps slow, the light deepens. A group of students runs past, their laughter breaking through like birdsong. Elara watches them, her expression wistful. Elara. They remind me of you, restless, stubborn, always challenging the impossible. Adrian smiling. And you remind me of who I wanted to impress. Her gaze lingers on him, a mix of admiration and restraint. Elara. You did more than that. For a moment neither speaks. The golden light presses against their faces, outlining them like a painting, two lives that once intersected in chaos, now walking in calm symmetry. Time has a way of softening even the sharpest memories. What once felt like heartbreak now feels like history, tender, distant, and almost kind. They reach the old fountain at the heart of the garden. The water catches the sunset, breaking it into fragments of color. Adrian quietly. I thought coming back here would hurt. Elara. And does it? He looks at her, really looks. Adrian. No, not anymore. She smiles, the kind of smile that forgives the years. In that moment, forgiveness isn't spoken, it's shared. Like light between two shadows learning how to meet again. They step through the new wing of the university, a place that smells faintly of fresh paint, polished marble, and quiet ambition. The air hums with reverence. Every wall carries a story, photographs of classrooms, smiles, and outstretched hands. The boy who once questioned everything now builds answers for others. The student became the benefactor, and still the teacher remains the reason. Adrian's hand brushes the edge of a glass display. His reflection merges with hers on the panel's surface. Two timelines, meeting without resistance. He leads her into the heart of the gallery, a high-ceilinged room filled with light and silence. And there, on the central wall, hangs a bronze plaque that catches the sunlight. Plaque. Dedicated to those who teach courage through compassion. Elara stops walking. Her breath catches the kind of quiet inhale that belongs to someone holding back tears. Elara softly. This is yours? Adrian turns to her, eyes steady but vulnerable. Adrian. Ours. Her lips part slightly, that familiar blend of disbelief and admiration. Elara. You still think in poetry? Adrian, with a small smile. No, now I think in gratitude. The silence that follows is alive, thick with what's been unsaid for years. Between them hangs not tension but tenderness. The air feels sacred. Some moments don't rush, they unfold like petals deciding to trust the light again. Adrian steps closer, not the way he once did, chasing impulse but with the calm certainty of a man who understands the value of stillness. I've spent years learning how to build everything I once thought would make me whole. Empires, partnerships, legacies. He pauses, eyes flickering with sincerity. Adrian, continuing. But nothing I've built ever felt complete without this moment. Her gaze lingers on him, searching for the boy he once was, finding instead a man shaped by both loss and longing. Elara. You don't need my approval anymore, Adrian. Adrian, softly. I'm not asking for it. He takes one slow step closer. His voice lowers, steady and sure, the kind that no longer seeks validation, only truth. Adrian. It's my turn to go gentle with you. Narrator, breath of silence. The words land not like a confession, but a vow. Not fire this time, warmth. Her eyes glisten. The weight of years, rumors, heartbreak, and silence melts into that single heartbeat between them. Elara, barely above a whisper. And if I let you? Adrian's expression softens, the corner of his mouth curving with reverence, not triumph. Adrian. Then I'll prove that patience can be as powerful as passion. Her smile returns quiet, almost trembling. The same smile she wore the first time she saw him challenge the world with conviction. Elara. Then show me what you've learned. And in that stillness, surrounded by the echoes of what they once were, two souls once forbidden, now forgiven, begin again. They stand on the balcony of the gallery's upper floor, where the evening light spills over the river like liquid glass. The air is soft, too soft for words. A pale lavender sky melts slowly into gold, and somewhere in the distance, the faint chime of church bells folds into the hush of the moment. Not every ending needs fire. Some endings simply exhale the way the sea returns what it never meant to keep. Adrian leans against the rail, the wind teasing his hair, the world below distant and small. He's been in cities where everything glitters, where deals are signed under chandeliers and hearts are forgotten between airports. Yet here, in this quiet corner of memory, he feels seen. Elara stands beside him, her gaze tracing the river's slow drift, the same river that once framed their first forbidden glance back when he was young, and she was unshakable. Time has softened both. Their scars fit together now, not as wounds, but as proof. Elara softly, You waited a long time, Adrian. He turns toward her. His expression carries the ease of a man who no longer needs to impress, only to be honest. Adrian. For some things, waiting is the only way to arrive ready. Her eyes glisten in the fading light. The air smells faintly of rain, of renewal. Elara with a trembling smile. You've changed. Adrian. You taught me how. Their laughter is quiet, weightless, the kind shared by two people who have finally stopped running from what they already knew. Once they were teacher and student, bound by rules and fear. Now they are equals, shaped by distance, refined by time, redeemed by understanding. A long pause stretches between them, filled only by the sound of the wind brushing through ivy and the bells echoing across the courtyard. Elara looks at him, her expression calm but alive, a peace that feels earned. Elara. I used to think endings were failures. Adrian gently. Maybe they're just the start of quieter beginnings. She nods, a single tear slipping free, glimmering like a secret finally let go. He doesn't reach for her. He doesn't need to. The closeness is already there, not in touch but in trust. The story doesn't end in thunder or scandal. It ends in quiet recognition that love, when it survives the storm, doesn't roar anymore. It whispers. And when it whispers, you finally hear everything. The camera pulls back, the two silhouettes framed against the golden horizon, the world stretching endlessly before them. A gust of wind passes, scattering the last light across their faces. No vows, no promises, just peace. Two souls finally home. If this story touched something inside you, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button and tell us in the comments which moment made your heart stop and which one made you believe in love again. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Nup Stories, because next week, another story will test your heart in ways you never expected. This isn't just a channel, it's where stories remember what love feels like.